at European and global level, the environmental protection has been developing through the years.
在欧洲以及全球生态环境保护是已经进行了很多年了。
After the Second World War, the environmental clauses have been included in different international treaties, agreements, and protocols.
二战之后，环境保护的问题，被纳入了国际一些交易、国际条例中。
But it took time to enter into the case law at international level. So, from the written, stated law to become into practice, it took several years.
就是环境保护的这个发展，从理念到实践是需要一个很长的时间。
Many countries have been accepting to sign and enter into different multilateral environmental agreements, such as the Kyoto Protocol, and slowly also under fees of law, in theory, in opposition with environmental issues, have been starting to include environmental issues as part of their own internal development.
就是很多国家签订了一些环境保护的协议，例如京都议定书和其他的一些协议，然后世界各国也把环境保护纳入了各国的国内发展中。
There are certain organizations, international organizations, which are not automatically and directly in favor of environmental protection as their main objective.
很多国际组织也是专门针对环境保护问题。
But at the same time, with the growing environmental risk, environmental crisis, global warming, climate change, also those organizations have to take into account the concrete and current situation.
但是现在大家也知道，越来越多的环境危机、环境风险也在增长，所以这些组织也在考虑
environmental risk, environmental crisis.
The organization would,
with the current situation, also those are those international organizations they were obliged to start to take into account environmental clauses, environmental issues.
更多的这些国际组织开始考虑环境问题。
One example is the World Trade Organization, which its main objective wants to liberalize the market towards globalization.
一个例子就是 WTO， 他们试图将市场自由化。
Even though in the very deep meaning of the WTO there is also sustainable development, it has never been implemented so deeply until the last 20 years.
尽管 WTO 这些组织已经
这也有这个可持续发展的概念，
但是可持续发展这个概念是在过去的20年进行比较深入的一个。
这不是过去20年才开始完全体现出来。
So from one side, we have to favor trade, globalization, free movement of goods, services, and intellectual property rights, which are originally not so much in line with environmental protection.
我们一方面要欢迎这些全球化呀、市场交易呀、知识产权这些方面的发展，同时我们也要意识到环境保护的重要性。
So there is a clear opposition between the market and the deep objective for human beings, the market and sustainable development.
所以我们也要理解市场以及市场的发展、人类社会的发展以及可持续发展三者之间的一个相互关系。
But we can remind cases like tuna dolphin, shrimp turtle, gasoline case, asbestos case, genetic modified organism case, Canada-Japan renewable energy case.
刚才举例了一些国际上的一些
Tuna dolphin.
Just some you just call some case of
对，就是一些国际上的一些环境案例，就是有包括在
金枪鱼和dolphin 是那个海豚。
So those cases take as an example the protection of environment towards political decision from single countries.
就刚才这些案例是环境保护超越了政治上的一些需求的一些案例。
The topic of my presentation today is the influence of politics in the law-making process.
今天我要讲的这个主题就是在政治对生态文明的一些影响。
So it's very important to see how certain developments in the legal field came from one side individual countries, can be United States, can be Europe, can be China.
所以我们来看其他国家的一些发展是非常重要的。
But from the other side, certain decisions have been pushed by the governments because of civil society organization involvement.
一些政府的决策是
civil society 社团，
国民社会。
国民社会。
社团。
So
就是一方面就是国家，一方面就是公民社会推动这个跟环境的
决策。
So from one side, there should be a political decision from a government to do in a certain direction, but when this political decision is not there, the role of the citizen and the role of the society and the role of the civil society organization is fundamental to not simply nudge the government, but to push the government to go in the direction of protecting the citizens.
一方面政府要制定一些决策来引导公民、引导社会的发展。如果另一方面这些公民社会以及其他组织也要在一定的程度上来推动政府来采取一些决策。
Also in China, the role of the environmental civil society organization is increasing a lot, and the legislation to include civil society organization in the lawmaking process and also in the possibility to access to the courts is becoming more and more important.
在中国也有越来越多的组织参与到这样一些立法的一些工作中。
There is another element I want to mention because Jean-Yves made reference to the green GDP, Vanessa made reference to the ecological civilization speech brought by Hu Jintao in 2007 and also previous references. In all this discussion, externalities need to be taken into account when we speak about GDP.
就是我还要提到另外一个方面，就是就我先说这个，就是外部性要在 GDP 的外部性在计算 GDP 的时候要考虑到外部性这个因素，因为刚才像让Eve 教授还有 Vanessa 他们的那个报告中也都提到了相关的内容。
Externalities are the cost that are not directly included into the real cost of the product.
就是外部性是一个间接的一个成本。
外部性是考虑 GDP 的时候没有考虑到因素，就生产过程中没有 GDP 里边没有涉及的因素，对环境的一些影响，有一些产品和一些外部影响。
成本
在成本里面没有这个。
对，没有什么是这个意思。
So if you produce a product and a company pollute the environment because does not meet the cost of being environmental friendly, of respecting environmental law, the product of course costs less, but there is a damage for environment which is not included into the cost of the product.
就是举例来说，一个企业生产一个产品，它这个生产产品过程中它产生了污染，但是他们在计算这个环境在计算这个产品的成本中，他们并没有考虑这个对环境产生的污染，所以这个污染就是对环境造成的污染就没有被计算到这个产品的成本中来。
就说什么这个成本就是比较便宜。
对。
Polluting the environment means also affecting the health of the people, so the health of the citizen. So the product, beside the fact that does not include the price of polluting the environment, does not even include the price of the people which get sick and or die because of the pollution.
污染环境对人类的健康造成危害，但是这个环境污染的这个环境污染的这个代价，并没有被计算进来，而且人们也可能会因为这个污染去生病或者死掉。
So those products are less expensive, but in the cost of the products there is not all these damages to the people and the environment. So there are certain experts that say even that the GDP should consider even the happiness inside in itself.
就是说因此这个产品的价格是它的价格是低廉的。是没有计算到这个环境污染、那个环境损害的这个成本的，也有很多专家认为，
应该把幸福指数也考虑到了 GDP。
happiness，要把幸福指数也要加入到这个 GDP 的计算中来。
So the Chinese concept of ecological civilization, according to me, has really a bright future in this sense. Because can brings not only China, as Fernando say, also other countries to rethink which are the priorities, to rethink that beside the growth, economic growth, there is also the necessity that this economic growth goes through sustainable development growth.
中国的这个生态文明这个概念是非常具有前景的，因为对我认为，这一概念能够使中国以及世界上其他国家来认真的思考现在社会的首要任务到底是什么，是经济的发展以及还是可持续发展的这个必要性。
For this reason, when Jo Yoon gave Vanessa and Hans the possibility to start to work with the Ecological Civilization Research Unit for the good of Vanessa, but also for the good of EPSEI, I thought that it was really a great opportunity, because I really do think that ecological civilization concepts, beside the theoretical issues that Vanessa and Jean-Yves have brought, which are fundamental for policymaker to root their political decision into philosophical theory and theoretical issues can have a very good impact in policy and in law making process.
就是说，这也是文丹萨来我们这个中心来进行交流的一个原因我们非常感谢我认为这是一个非常好的机会，能够普及了解这个生态文明这个理念这个理念对于作用体现于一些政策的决策过程中，并且来体现一些哲学方面的一些思想。
对我们这个法律法规的制定都有一定支持的，就能体现在法律法规的制定和制定方面。
对。
So what we are doing here today and what you are doing together, it's probably very important to change the rules of the game, and not simply the rules of the game in China, but the rule of the games in the world, because China represents a very important country in the world and for everybody. So that's I'm saying that we are having very important role. We hope so.
所以咱们今天这个会是非常具有重要意义的。
可以改变游戏规则，不仅改变中国的游戏规则，还可以改变世界的游戏规则。
So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.